mean, I think the last time I podcast was maybe the week before Thanksgiving. Yeah, I don't even remember. I know. All right, so welcome. This is November 30th. I'm the Slow Knitter. I'm Rena from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm happy to be back podcasting. I've been away. Well, I haven't been away at all. It's just been crazy busy, and I was hoping to podcast earlier this week, except that we had painters in the house the whole week. So this is Friday, so they left early this morning. I mean, they came to put everything back together this morning. Great guys, really, really great guys. And they worked their butts off. They had to remove wallpaper from the foyer up the stairs and the hallway upstairs. The wallpaper started to peel. And we had a couple people come in. They said to us, well, even if we paste it back, it's going to peel again because the wall underneath it wasn't prepped correctly or something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter because it's all done, and they painted a real neutral color, which I really love. And there's nothing like it when your house is freshly painted. It just looks so good. But a lot to tell you what's going on. I am wearing one of the first sweaters I ever made. Well, it is the first sweater I ever made. It's called the Miriam Cardi. It's done in Quince & Co. Chickadee. I have the details. I have the details on who the the pattern designer was, and I remember that it was boring because it's stockinette and it's, you know, it's a cardigan, so it's just knit purl. And a couple times I've put it on and I've tried to wear it again, and I'm like, I don't really know if I like it, so I'll just keep it in my closet because it is the first sweater I ever made. I'm trying to find out who it was that did it. It is the first sweater that I ever made, so I really should keep it. And then I just put it on the other day and I thought, why aren't I wearing this? It's comfortable. There's nothing wrong with it. It does have a little teeny tiny moth hole somewhere in it. And I have to say that I'm kind of in love with it again. You know, sometimes you have to put away things because I'm looking at who the designer is. I know it's called the Miriam Cardi, and I know I did it in like 2011 or something. And it's just a plain open cardi. There's nothing special about it. Oh, there it is, Miriam Cardi. Oh, Carrie Bostic Hogue. I forget what she goes by on Instagram. But, you know, it's like it comes, I don't know, hip length. It's really cool, comfortable. I love Chickadee. And I did it in the Frost colorway in Quince & Co. Chickadee. And I still think they sell that. I just love it. So I thought, oh, what a perfect day. It's sort of a cloudy, rainy-ish kind of day. Not really cold. It was cold earlier this week, but it's not really cold right now. So I put on a little tank. Thought I'd wear it here. But anyway, lots to report on. Lots. I'm sitting in a different position. I can't find my space here yet. I'm still searching. But anyway, let me gather some things for you. I will be right back, and I will let you know what I'm working on, let you know my FOs, my whips. I have some hats behind me. You see? I've been hat knitting maniac like crazy. That may be the name of this episode, Hat Knitting Mania. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm just going to gather everything up, and I'll be right back. I have so many hats I've knitted. I'm still knitting them. I still have like hat whips. First of all, they're so great because they're so fast. And I think I posted a pic. I've been posting pictures of my hats all over Instagram, so hopefully you've seen them. But I think No, I've got two more. Two more to do. That's not bad. That's not bad. And for me, because I've got so many projects going on at one time, to do a hat in a week is pretty good. I mean, some people do it in a day or two. It takes me about a week. This is my latest one I'm turning around. This is my niece Alexandra's hat, and it is the No Nonsense hat, which is my favorite pattern this year. Last year it was a Helen Stewart pattern. I just put the pom-pom on. And what's great about this, it's done in Vollenbein Smitten DK. DK in the Smitten colorway. It's really a great pattern because, I've talked about it before. It's so, it's sort of interesting. You're never bored. You're like, okay, this section. And it looks like cables. It's not cables. So it's fun. You can wear it brim up. Let me make sure I get it away. Brim up or brim down. Anyway, I'm about to get this off to her, because she can wear it now, in New York. And this is the one that I've shown you before for my sister-in-law. It's the same pattern. This was done in a Madeline Tosh sock held double. Yeah, so those hats are going off. I made the little top knot hats for my third cousins. I made my other niece a hat, which I sent to her, which was an Andrea Malabrigo hat, and I've posted all these pictures. And at the beginning of this video, you'll see a lot of those photos. I am now making a colorwork hat. Oh, actually, I want to tell you about this. So I was watching, I'm an avid podcast watcher, and I come across new podcasts all the time. New podcasts that, to me, they've been around, but to me they're new. So I think Chrissy Glass, when she did Chrissy Glass did a parody of podcasters, and one of them was Chelsea Pearls. And they're a yarn shop. She's a yarn dyer, and they have a yarn shop in New Jersey. And anyway, I've come across her podcast, and she's a lot of fun. And she had a little trunk show and had a feature on Clinton cashmere. Like Clinton Hill cashmere. I'm like, what is that? I have to know. What is that? Well, as she's doing her podcast, she's knitting. I can't knit and podcast at the same time. And she had this headband that she was making. And I thought, that would be really cool for my nieces in New York. They're they can be sporty. They can just, put on a head. If they don't want to wear the whole hat, they can just put on the headband. It is, and I bought the color camel. Because to me, I grew up in the 70s. And during that time, it was all about camel coats and every time I see the color camel, I think of this long cashmere coat that they used to wear a lot in the 70s. So this is the yarn. It's really, really beautiful. I have to hold it up. It's really beautiful. It comes, in this like cake, already wound up. And the headband, and it comes with the headband pattern. It's a pricey yarn, but I just wanted to try it and see what it would be like. And the pattern is really a seed stitch pattern. It's super simple, and you hold the yarn double, so it ends up being a pretty. And I'm getting better at doing projects that have a heavier weight yarn, but this is the thing, and you wear it like when I finish, I'll mattress stitch it together, and you just wear it like this. It's so soft. It's so beautiful, and I'll put a link to her shop down below. It's beautiful. I think I have like 5 more inches and then mattress stitch it, and they can wear it like this. Pretty. And fast, because it's like on a size 10 needle, and I don't knit on 10s. I am on this one. And the yarn is held double. A little trying on the hands, but it's a simple seed stitch pattern. You can see it. It's really pretty, and the cashmere is divine to work with. So that's another head covering that I'm working on. I'm also, my friend Karen Kemper, who is the the dyer behind I Knit 2 Purl 2. She's also local to me. And, ooh, someone's texting me. I don't know who that is. Okay. And she developed this pattern. It's a colorwork pattern, and I'm really into colorwork these days. And it's called the Leviosa hat. Karen, I'm so sorry. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, because I know you had to correct somebody. Leviosa hat. And I think I posted a picture of the kit on Instagram. And I thought, oh, I dropped it. I thought, you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll start it. It's addicting. I cannot put this down. In fact, I was going to bed last night, and I thought, well, let me just stop by the Knit Cave for a minute. And I sat down for an hour and was knitting on this. I was at the next level, and let me just try it. And I think I got the colors wrong, in the wrong order, but it doesn't really matter, because, you know, the yarn came, it's like a mini skein pack, and it's fingering weight. So you can't really see what I've done, but so far, but I'm almost finished with the first chart. Is it little Christmas trees? Can you see it? So cute. And it is freaking addicting. I cannot put this thing down, although I need to, because God knows I have so many other things I have to do. But yeah, this is a fun pattern, and it's called the Leviosa hat, and it's fingering, and the colors are this sort of purplish, let me hold up the yarn, it's purplish and gray and white. So it's meant to be a little subtle. It's not, you know, the typical Christmas colors, although if you have Christmas fingering, you can actually, Christmas color fingering, you can easily do this pattern with that. It would be, in fact, a couple people have, and it's pretty. You can see the yarns are, you know, grayish, purple, and white. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it really is beautiful and fun to knit. I'm like into like fun knit projects. I'm not into boring projects, you know. Oops. Oh, something dropped. Yeah, so that's a whip I'm working on, and I love it. So that's another hat. I've got one more hat I think I'm going to do, which is a hat that I did last year, but I did it too small. And I'm doing that on Woolen Boon DK. I don't really have anything to show except that it's just one more hat I'm going to be doing. And then I think I need to be done with hats, because that would be my, I don't know, 7th hat. I mean, it's enough. Enough with the hats. Back to selfish knitting. All about me. No. Wanted to give you an update on some whips that I've been telling you about, and that I'm very close to finishing. And I've showed you this over numerous videos in the past. This is a bandana that I've been working on from Hilary Callis Smith, or Smith Callis. I always get that backward. And I'm doing it in Lorna's Laces and another thing. Lorna's Laces. And I got this yarn when I was part of, well, I still am, part of a quarterly knit club that I get, a yarn club that I get yarn from periodically. But basically, and I know I've shown you this before, but I'm finally at the very end. It's going to be, you know, sort of like this. I'm very, you know, the shift that everybody's knitting with Spin Cycle, it's got a very similar shape to that. And I don't even want to tell you when I started this. I think I started this in 2016. No, it's been on the needles. Actually a year and a half. Yeah, it's been, whatever, maybe 2017. But I know that I started early. I love the colors. I love the yarn. The blue has silk in it. It's really wonderful. I'm probably going to run out of the blue before I finish it. But I think there's enough white in here that I can just go to striping so I don't use up so much of the blue. I am probably 10 stitches away from binding off. 10 repeats away. That's like 20 rows. So if I sit down and do it, I could finish it. If I sit down and do it all in one shot. And the last thing I'm going to show you that you see me working on as I reach over is my Ashburn shawl by Melanie Berg. The one that I'm knitting for my friend Beverly that I've talked about forever. And finally added the third color, the Whiskey Barrel colorway. And it's fairly long. And I think Beverly will love it. She'll wrap it around her neck a few times. It's what she wanted. And I probably don't have very much of this either to do. And if I sit down and just bang it out, we know me. If I sit down and just work on nothing else, I might get finished with it over the weekend. But there's so many things to do. And not the least of which is my Knit Stars series, which has... Knit Stars 3 just started, and I'm on the third video series. And if you saw my stories, you saw me watching them. That's all I can say about it. It's just pretty wonderful. So, and lessons, lessons, lessons at the yin yang. Like I have to remember that I have to go back. And this morning I just saw an introduction of one, and I thought, oh my God, there are like 25 nuggets in this 5-minute discussion. So it's pretty fantastic. And some people are watching it all at one time, like me. And some people, because everyone appears in about, I don't know, could be 6, could be 10 segments. You could watch a couple and then go back to them. So it's good. All right. Let me check my notes. And make sure that I'm telling you everything I want to tell you, because I've actually been compiling notes for this podcast for a while, you know, because that's what I do. All right. Let me look. All right. I will tell you where you can find me. I know I'm way into this video, but usually I have a scroll on the bottom that says where you can find me on Instagram, on Ravelry, and all that. Also welcome back to my subscribers. I have to remind myself to say that because I think everyone's watching me. No, welcome back to my subscribers. And if you're new to this podcast, please subscribe. And I really hope you enjoy it. Okay, then let's get right back into it. I wanted to tell you that I've actually been organizing my craft room. And it's no easy task to organize a craft room when you have as much yarn as I have. And I have a closet in here that really wasn't being put to good use. It was just like I had some rods and I was hanging some things and storing some things up on shelves, and it was really not conducive. And then I made the mistake of going to the Container Store. It's a mistake because then you buy all the things. And look at the Alpha system, which is a closet system, and a couple of friends of mine have that system. And I thought, you know what, that's what my closet needs. Well, I had the system installed, realizing that the closet is a very old closet and needed to be painted and shelving coming off that left. Anyway, long story short, I sort of jumped the gun. I should have done the closet before I installed the system. I always do things back-asswards. So anyway, while the painters were here, they kindly painted the closet for me and sanded it and all that kind of stuff. And then the installer came back in Wednesday and reinstalled it, and it looks great. I'm really, really happy with it. And now it's just blank white walls, and I'll install a picture, and I'll put a picture in. And lots of doors. And on one side is all my sweater projects, on the other side is all of my yarn. And I've decided, and I may have mentioned this, I've decided just to organize by color of yarn. So, you know, all my pinks and shades of pinks and whites and pinks are together, and all my greens are together, regardless of weight. Because those that I have sweater quantities of where you have a lot of them. I've put that on. These are my big projects, my sweaters. I've got my yarn. I'm all ready. I don't really need to mix up the larger quantities of yarn with the other colors of yarn. So let's see how that works. I don't know if it's going to work. I may be rearranging again. I don't know, but I do know that I think I'm pretty happy with this system as it is right now. So, okay, want to show you some more color work that I'm working on. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but last March, I saw one of my podcasters, one of the podcasters I watch pretty regularly, Sharon from Knit Styles. She's also a yarn dyer, but she's also a very, very prolific knitter, she's really a beautiful knitter. I mean, she's won awards at Rhinebeck. I mean, she's pretty good. But Sharon was wearing, during a podcast last March or April, she was wearing the Indigo Frost poncho. It's a pattern written by Isabel Kramer. And I was like, oh, tell me you knit that. I mean, she just was like talking and she's wearing this poncho and I thought, did you buy that or did you make that? And she finally got to it and said, I've just finished my Indigo Frost poncho by Isabel Kramer. And I thought, oh. And I immediately went to Ravelry, downloaded the pattern, bought the pattern, and ordered the yarn that Isabel Kramer used for the pattern. Okay, so, and it's been sitting around, and finally I thought, I really, really want to get to it because we have the perfect weather here in Atlanta for this exact kind of garment. And I will put a link to everything I talk about. I'll put a link to this pattern below. And it's got color work, and I love color work. It's also, she did it using Cascade 220 in the Heathers, which is a Heather. There's a whole line of Cascade 220 Heathers, not regular Cascade 220. I got all the yarn. It's a the word just escaped me. It's fingering sport, yeah. Worsted, thank you. Worsted weight yarn. But this is where I am right now. In fact, I steamed it a little bit this morning to get the full effect. The great thing about this, so you see the color work that's done, and it's all slip stitch. It's mosaic, so it's not really stranded color work. It's mosaic color work, and it is just and the poncho only is about waist length. It's not a big full poncho. It's like waist length poncho, which is great for me because I'm small. So anything bigger would have eaten me up. But this turtleneck is really wonderful. This, I steamed it because the color work begins right here. And to me, it looked a little wonky. But then I steamed it and it looked a lot better. So, and I've woven in all the ends because the ends would drive me crazy. I've woven in all the ends. And now it's just knit, 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 knit. Not that much with lots of eyelets. So there's lots of diversity and some increases, and that's it. And no sleeves, yay. Yeah, I am loving this knit. It's, again, an addictive knit. It's addictive because it's not boring. It's not just round and round and round. It's like eyelets and all this kind of stuff. Did I just drop something? I heard something drop. Oh, yes. Let's not do that. I think I've been pushing this around a lot, so my stitches are coming off the needles. So anyway, yeah, I am in love with this piece. And again, it's color work, it's not boring. So that's a big, and hopefully I will finish that. I'll finish this in a couple of weeks because I have so many other things. But from now on, it's just eyelets and round and round. The heavy lifting was in the turtleneck and the color work. Other than that, that's it. I mean, but it's so much fun. It is a lot of fun. I'm reaching for my notes because I want to make sure I cover everything. I have a very interesting section to talk to you about. let's see. Oh, I've got to tell you that when I was cleaning out my yarn closet to prepare for the new system that I put in, I didn't realize just how many project bags I had. It's an obnoxious amount of project bags, and I thought, well, maybe I'll give some away during my giveaways, and they're slightly used. I mean, they're lightly used. I have so many, I probably use a new one every project. I do go back to the same ones that I really like over and over, but then I thought, and I was trying to organize it. Maybe I'll give some to put it in my Goodwill bag, and I can't part with them. I cannot part with any of them. This happens to me when I clean out something. I'm like, not ready, I'm not ready. I may be ready, you know, a few weeks from now, next year from now. Seriously, I'm not ready to part with the project bags. They need to be parted with. All right, let's see. I have a interesting segment in between what I have acquired. I'll tell you about my acquisitions, which are really, I'm not telling you about everything I bought, just what I bought on Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. And I bought with purpose. I'm trying my best. I'm not really all succeeding. I'm trying my best to find a purpose. So I go to that yarn shop for this, and that yarn shop for that, and that. So it's not like I can get Malabrigo at any of these yarn shops. No, I can only get Finito at Eat Sleep Knit. I love Malabrigo Finito. I can only get that at Eat Sleep. So I was sort of judicious about how I shopped, and I knew I was going to do Good Friday. From now on, yarns that I want are going on my Christmas list. I will end up buying them and wrapping them for myself. True. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. That's what I will do. That's my plan for this next month, after I do my advent calendar, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But I wanted to tell you that some things have popped up on my various knitting feeds on Facebook and some other places with my different groups. And some things have popped up that were really interesting articles that have been written about our community, and I wanted to share them with you. If you haven't seen them, you might have seen them, I don't know, but if you haven't seen them, let me show you what I have. So a couple of articles have popped up on my newsfeed about knitting, and I thought, oh, what's that? Let me read that. One of, and I'm gonna read excerpts to you because it's so interesting, and I think, you know, not everybody is looking around for these things, and I can be a resource for you. So this is the section called "What I'm Looking At," what I've found about our community. Okay, this is articles, or I'll find something interesting. There was an article in New York Times a couple of weeks ago, probably, I want to say a couple of Sundays ago. And the name of the article is Shetland Islands, Scenery, Sheep, and Knitters Galore on Britain's Northern Tip. So here's a copy of the article. It's from the New York Times. I will link it below for you to read it at your leisure. But I thought I would just, you know, I was just reading it this morning, and I thought, oh, I got to say this. So you're going to have to, you know, indulge me while I tell you about, I'm looking at the time, I tell you about the Shetland Islands and some little known facts. And then you can read the rest of the article, which is really, it's so well written, it's so great. It's all about us, it's all about knitting, it's all about the Shetland Islands. Now, Shetland Islands is famous, as you know, for its wool and its sheep, but it is, and I did not know this, the Shetland Islands is a Scottish subarctic archipelago. Which are just little islands that surround. So it's off the coast of Scotland, but it's across the sea from Norway. So you get a lot of similarities of the type of knitting that they do there. Okay, and we've seen a lot of, you know, Shetland wools and all kinds of things like that. In fact, the poncho that I'm doing is a Shetland wool. And it's 100% wool, and I love that because you can, it's spit slice it together rather than, because you can't do that with superwash, but you can do it with 100% wool, and this is 100% wool. And here's a very moody picture of what the islands look like. I wish I had color. I don't have color, but the article has color. So when I give you the link, you know, look at the pictures. The pictures are beautiful, beautiful, sort of moody pictures. But in Shetland, knitting is a tradition that goes back centuries and is embedded in the place's rich history. Sheep outnumber people by 20 to 1. It's not very populated groups of islands, because there's little groups of islands. There's a couple that are overpopulated and some that are not populated at all. And inclement weather, so it's very rainy, windy, on the islands has encouraged the local sheep to grow a softer and lighter weight fiber that makes Shetland wool unique. Hey, I did not know that. This is so interesting. I love history about our history and information about fibers for our community. This is what the stuff we make. Now, the writer goes on to talk about the interest in knitting around the world, the resurgence of interest in knitting around the world, and it's likely directly linked to technology in our digital age. That has made knitting festivals worldwide increasingly popular. And they talk about tickets for knitting festivals in Edinburgh and Iceland sell out in minutes, which is true, actually. I've been warned about that. There are about 100 islands in Shetland, although 16 are inhabited. So interesting. And you all may be familiar with Shetland, which is a PBS series on, and it's actually filmed on those islands. And the mystery writer, if you're a mystery reader, there is a writer, Anne Cleves, and she has set a series of murder mysteries on Shetland, and they've been made into this BBC series called Shetland. And the islanders are very proud of it. So interesting. Anyway, I'm going to link the article below. This is, I just printed off a copy of it. It's really an interesting article. So, and I love that about our community. I love that we have these unique and interesting places that produce these fibers that we make things with. Chickadees and 100% wool product as well from Quince & Co. It is not a superwash. So this is another one you can spit slice. Yeah. And it's sport. It's their sport word. Yeah. Okay. Then I came across, then somebody else told us about another article. I'm going to stop this for a minute because I'm going to run out of time. So I'll be right back. I'll tell you about a Ravelry article published in the Washington Post. Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay. So here is an article that was written about Ravelry in the Washington Post. Okay. Interesting. So it was in there, it was a blog, a work blog, it says. So the name of it was written by a guy named Andrew Van Dam, and the name of the article is "This Researcher Studied 400,000 Knitters and Discovered What Turns a Hobby into a Business." What? Okay, a researcher, an MIT PhD candidate researcher, studying knitters on Ravelry. What? Yeah, okay. MIT PhD candidate Hajun Kim realized she was watching the journey from hobbyist to entrepreneur happen in real time with data. So this article is really about how data is used to analyze different groups of people. And so this researcher stumbled across Ravelry and the knitting community of Ravelry. And she was obviously studying entrepreneurship. So she said her analysis sheds light on the hard to measure. So this is all about data, right? All about collecting data. Hard to measure early stages of entrepreneurship and the social and economic forces that cause someone to flip from fun to profit. She analyzed almost 100 interviews and 403 8,000 profiles of knitters and crocheters in the United States. So part of me wants to say, honey, get a life. Knitters and really? Yes. And then I read on and I was like fascinated, because when I was in business, I also had to do a lot of data analysis. So data just interests me, okay? She found that even on one of the internet's great niche social networks, offline encouragement and feedback help most talented hobbyists recognize their ability and take the first step towards monetizing it. Okay, so I'm reading it with sort of a business head. And then she said, Kim, the researcher, who tried to knit but never got the hang of it, calculates about 96% of Ravelry users are women. Okay, we know. So she goes on to say that those knitters have built the kind of detailed, so really kudos to the founders of Ravelry to gather all this data to find a sort of a central resource for knitters to talk about their knitting practice. If you haven't really found the information on how Ravelry started, go to Ravelry's profile, and she's actually posting this stuff on Instagram now. And so it's really interesting how they started. They really wanted to collect what everybody was working on and have a resource. It was really for a resource for knitters. So 8 million plus people have signed up for Ravelry since 2007. Did you know that? I mean, whenever I go to Ravelry, I would see 3,000 knitters online. 8 million plus people. And they represent a cross-section of knitters. We know that, all right? And crocheters as well. Anyway, together, this is what this article says. Together, those knitters have built the kind of detailed, long-running data set that prior generations of economists can only dream of. So what Ravelry has begun has formed sort of a specialized group of hobbyists that talk about and organize their work, and there's so much data in there. If you're a data analyst, you're like, oh my God, I don't know where to go first. They post projects they complete, we know, the patterns and yarns they use, and real world groups they join. So if you're doing an analysis of how someone goes from hobbyist to entrepreneur, this is an ideal basic research pool to pull from. For knitters, it's great to keep records, right? We know that. For researchers, it is great to observe every knitting activity of every knitter. So someone's looking over our shoulder. Okay. For many entrepreneurs, I think the biggest personal challenge is believing in yourself. True. That what you are creating is something that is desired and valued by others. How many times have we seen knitters that we know, knitters that we're Insta friends with, or knitters that we know, and they take a step into they're going to make project bags, or they're going to dye yarn, and they start to go into business for themselves as a result of encouragement from us, from each other, and not being afraid to try something. I think if you're in a smaller sort of narrow kind of place, maybe have a group of friends are like, okay, well, you can try dye yarn. I don't know how it's going to work. But then you've got a community of millions of people who say, or thousands of people who say, yeah, give it a try. What's the worst that could happen? Anyway, so Kim's analysis of data on over 400,000 individual knitters from 2007 to 2014 back up her research that you can go from hobby to entrepreneur. It's a great article. I will link it below. It talks about us. That's what I love about it. So here it is. See my highlights? I'm like highlighting everything. I'm not at work or school anymore, but who cares? I'm too interested in this. All right. Let's talk about what I've acquired and why. Because I want to make sure that I just don't dump, oh, look, I've got this, I got that. No. I picked 3 places that I wanted to shop on Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. On Small Business Saturday, I wanted to go to local yarn shops and support the local yarn shops that I visit. One I've never been to, and one that I go to regularly, and I wanted to support Jennifer and the folks at the Craftivist, which has really become probably my most frequent visited yarn shop, even though it's really super not convenient, but that's okay. So I knew that Republica Unicornia, my favorite little yarn dyer, hello Kathleen, and she really is new at this and brilliant at it. And now something came with this. It may have dropped. I may have dropped it. And she had a festive unicorn sock set. And look how beautiful it is. And it comes a little mini for if you want to do contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. I'm going to use this as one of my December. I have a giveaway I do every quarter for those who have joined. There's Kathleen's label. Let me see if you can see it. Ravelry Unicornia. I have a quarterly giveaway. And this December will be the end of the quarter, and I'll restart this club in knit along group in January, because it's gone very, very well. And every quarter I'll give away a skein of sock yarn for that. And I've had some great winners. It's been just a blast. So I'm going to give this set away. It's got a little mini, and it's just, the colors are, it's just beautiful. Look at that. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to give this away, and it'll come with, Kathleen's also a bag maker. She's an excellent project bag maker, and she's done these cute little notions bags that you can put your notions in. So this will go with this so get your entries in. I do random number generator, and I'll be selecting a winner at the end of December for the last quarter, and then we'll pick up again in January, and we'll do this all over again. So this is the prize for the end of the year sock knit along that I do. So yay! So I knew I wanted to go to the Craftivist to get this for my sock winner, and Jen has a really great selection of Malabrigo. Okay. And I have just, I knit with Mechita, Malabrigo's fingering Mechita, on Beverly's Ashburn shawl that I showed you, one by Melanie Berg. And Jen had just gotten some shipment of Mechita in, and I decided that I love this color. It's called Cirrus Gray. It's sort of a blue jean color. It's sort of like a, can you see it? It's like a bluish gray. It's beautiful. So there are lots of projects where this will work just fantastic. So I was going to go with my friend Charlene and Jen, who was here visiting before they went to SAP up in Asheville. And they were going to go, and something came up and I couldn't go, and I wanted so badly to go, and it was always sort of bothering me that I haven't been there yet. And it's actually more convenient for me to go there by car than the Craftivist, but still, it's a different kind of place. The place is called Heart and Spirit, and it's in like a marketplace. It's actually part of the West Side Market. So you can walk in and it's like a lot of these little booths of different jewelry and palette maker, and it's furniture. It's just a mishmash of different kind of shops. And I walked in, and there's like a desk in front, and I said, I'm looking for Heart and Spirit, and they went, oh, it's down this hallway. She should be there. Oh yes, she was there, all right. She was there, and I fell in love with her, and she said, come into my closet. And it is probably a huge walk-in closet. It's the size of this. Her name is Magali Remy. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I'll put all these links below. She is incredible. I have a picture of her in the front where she's wearing her wearing a beautiful shawl that she partly dyed the wall. Yeah. Now I went over there because I was specifically looking for indie dyer yarns that I had not yet discovered. And I knew that that's really what she specializes in. You probably won't get a run-of-the-mill. You won't get Malabrigo there. You won't get Macintosh there. You won't get any of the mass producers of yarn there. Mostly what you're going to get is indie dyers. And I knew that my friend Lauren from Old Rusted Chair also sent her some things, and that she had some of Lauren's yarn. So I know, okay, well, I'm saved. I'll at least get a skein of Lauren's yarn. Well, first of all, I fell in love with Magali because she's just, I don't know. It's just like one more incredible maker in my life. So I'm going to hold the phone. Okay. Rena, turn off your phone before you podcast. Okay. So I knew that I was going to get indie dyed yarn here, and I was not going to get run-of-the-mill yarn. Okay. Well, truly, she has an amazing, amazing selection of yarn. She goes to festivals. She does all. Anyway, it's just great to have another maker in my life that's so talented. Anyway, I did get some Old Rusted Chair because I just love Lauren's work. And I hadn't had this kind of colorway. It's just the smoothie colorway. And it's great. So while I'm there, Magali says, okay, well, look over here. I'm just putting it down. Look over here. Look at this yarn. Are you familiar with the Farmer's Daughter's fiber? And I went, I know I've seen it. No, I've never worked with it. I know I've seen it on Instagram. I've never worked with it. So she said, would this go together with Lauren's yarn? And it's this unbelievably, I can't even. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. This is Cowboy Country colorway. So it's going to look really spectacular as something with Lauren's yarn. It just will look incredible. This is her label. I know you've seen her on Instagram. I want to say, I forget where she's from, but anyway, this is just a straightforward, I think it's, yeah, it's just a superwash merino, it's a superwash merino. It's fingering. It will look beautiful in some sort of either brioche with that other one, or some sort of, I've got this pattern that's in my head, which is a Stephen West pattern that I've been wanting to do. I looked at the pattern again this morning and read it. And I thought that could go really well. She also introduced me, and I've seen this on Instagram. I've never purchased it, and that was one of the reasons why I went to her shop, because I wanted to go to her shop for indie dyed yarns that I had not really procured yet, because you know I procure it like crazy. She introduced me to Long Dog yarns. Have you all? Am I the only one that has not done anything with Long Dog? This is called Wild Child. It's her sock yarn. So 20%. But the greens in here are like, what? And I want to say, I'm probably mistaken. I know that Magali took a dyeing class and she dyed her own yarns for her starting point shawl. That's what she was wearing when I was there from Hohi. And anyway, I looked at that and went, oh my God, I've never seen anything that has this combination of green. It's beautiful. And then right next to it, oh my God. Yeah, I'm in my green face again. Wrong time of year for this. It's very springy. But this combination would be beautiful in Hohi's Smooth Mood. No, it's Stephen West. Hohi has a lot of short row shawls that I really love. And I think this would be really a great spring one. This is another, I think this one is another sock yarn. It's called New Growth. And look, the color, like it sort of looks like new growth of a plant. So these too will also be something. And then I have a lot of gold yarns because I just love anything gold. And she had this beautiful fiber also from Farmer's Daughter Fibers that I thought would go with some of my gold. So I had, like, in my head, I had a purpose for why I went to each individual shop. And I'm a big supporter of women-owned businesses. I think it's like our future. Women should own every business there is. Yeah. Okay. All right. 2 more minutes. Last spring, because I've been warned to do this. Isn't it funny how when you get to a certain point, like all of a sudden something switches? Like, I don't want that anymore. I'm not really, but well, it was too late because I already like bought it. Last winter, I was watching everybody's Advent thing, and I was sort of had little Advent envy. I didn't have an Advent calendar, and I wanted to. Now, I didn't grow up with Advent calendars, but I'm sort of intrigued by this whole yarn Advent thing. And a couple of my international friends said, oh, if you do Advent, you've got to do Norah George. And those of you who are familiar with Norah George Yarns, like, she puts a shop update gone, like, in 2 minutes. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll try Norah George's Advent calendar. Kind of pricey. And then I forgot about it. I totally, like I ordered it last April. Boom, out of my head. Then what comes in the mail? About 6 weeks ago. Norah George's Advent calendar. Stuff. Cute bag. And in the Advent calendar are these individually wrapped minis, I imagine, for each day. Like this is day 13. And this, I'll have to wait for day 1. This is day 10. And this is full, this bag is full of these little packages. And then there is a, what she calls, a goodie pouch. And in the goodie pouch, like little scissors and stuff. And what I'm supposed to do, since tomorrow is December 1st, is I'm supposed to go to Ravelry to redeem something for a pattern that you make with each one of those little yarns. So I have my instructions. Here's my Ravelry code. I have my instructions of what I have to do. But everything seems to be themed around this moose with this cute sweater. I think it's a color work piece because the whole thing is around, everything is, there's a like secret information about color work. It's great because I'm really into color work right now. So yeah, so tomorrow's my start. So, you know, for the next 24 days, starting tomorrow, I get to open a little bundle and knit up whatever I have to knit up. So this is another thing that'll get in the way of all my finished goodies. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I think that's it. That should be it. It's a lot. But Knit Stars is going well. I have the rest of the, I think, to second week in December to finish the whole series. And then what I'll end up doing is go back because it's so great. It's really super great. Exceeds my expectations every single time. Anyway, but this Knit Stars 3 is focused on, I think the term they're using is North Stars Rising, so it's a lot of Scandinavian kind of knitting, and it's just interesting. Okay, will I ever do that kind of work? Maybe to try it, because I like to challenge myself. Maybe to try it and to get more comfortable with color work, since I do really like it. I have some sweaters that are in progress. I'll probably slowly keep going on those. I want to finish that poncho. That's my main focus for my biggest project. And then for the holiday knitting, I will have a Christmas Eve sock cast on. I think I'm going to cast on, I don't know, I've got some patterns I've picked and some yarns I've picked to do that. And last year I did it and it was fun. Okay. That's a lot. What am I not showing you? Doesn't matter. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks again to my subscribers, and hope if you're new, please subscribe. And have a happy weekend and next week, and I might be back in a couple weeks or so. Let's hope so, because I missed everyone. I missed the podcast effort, even though it's a big deal for me. But I love doing research during the month or during these couple weeks to find something interesting I need to tell you. All right, everything I've talked about is linked below. I also post this on my Ravelry podcast group page. River Hat Knit Along. Oh, one more thing. I'm probably going to do a shawl knit along in next year, since I am, you know what? I'm a shawl knitter. I love shawls. I don't know. I love them for gifts. I love them for me. I like to have a variety of shawls. Okay. But more details on that to follow, because I'm hoping to hook up with a dyer, a local dyer that I know, and we can sell shawl kits. I mean, you know, I can recommend. You can. I don't know. Still rattling in my brain. Okay. See ya. Have a great weekend. Thanks for stopping by. See ya. Bye.